Thank you, Christy. Good morning. How is everyone this morning? It's, springy. It feels good to have spring in the air. Welcome to Tucson New Thought. I'm Reverend Jonathan Zenz. For those, everybody in the room knows me. If you're watching online and you don't know me, I'm Reverend Jonathan Zenz. I'm the founding spiritual director of Tucson New Thought. And this is the time and the place where we come together on Sunday morning to gather in spiritual community and to know one thing and one thing only, and that is that there's an infinite power and presence. There's one infinite creative source, and I like to understand it as love. That love is the infinite creative power, and everything that exists is part of that wholeness. Everything. We are here with a vision at Tucson New Thought to create a world that works for everyone. And we do this by impelling our mission, which is to provide practical tools for personal transformation and awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And so let us begin with this understanding that at the core of each and every one of us is that this truth, and I'm going to say it to you, you are magnificent. You are magnificent. Not because of anything you do, but just because of who you are. And so let's celebrate that. Let's all say to ourselves, I am magnificent. I am magnificent. That is the truth. And just take a moment to look at the beautiful faces around you and see the magnificence on their faces. Yeah. I'm going to invite Logan to join me on stage. I'm trying something a little different today, if you would. Just to give it a little more oomph. On aux 1, would you bring this mic down just a little bit? I just feel like it's really, if I start to go the way I go, it's going to get really loud in here. So this is a ceremony that we call Lighting the Flames of Faith that we do every single week. And the purpose of this is to deepen into our understanding that there is only one golden thread that runs through all religious paths and all faith traditions, all spiritual ideologies, and that is love. And so for each candle that we light, we are understanding that that is the divine golden thread that connects all of it. So we first light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the divine will of love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. This final candle we light is a candle to represent the healing of any circumstance which requires divinity to be revealed, with the deepest understanding that that is the nature of healing, the revelation of divinity in the world of form. Everything is divine, everything. And so this is your candle for whatever is in your mind and in your heart that requires the light. Thank you, Logan. Truth. We begin to express that truth more and more in our world. And so let's honor this candle utilizing these words, the modified prayer for protection written by James Dillett Freeman. Let's read this together. Truly, the light of peace surrounds us, the love of peace enfolds us, the power of peace protects us, and the presence of peace watches over us. Wherever we are, peace is. And so let's take some centering time as we settle into meditation. Rooting ourselves into the infinite, which is fully present right here and right now. For it is present at all times, in all space. It is everything seen and unseen. It is infinite, so there is no place where it is not. As we allow this to be at the forefront of our minds and in our hearts, I invite us to take to heart this month's affirmation as we move through this time of quiet. This month's affirmation is, I am infinitely unfolding in more magnificent ways every day. Allow yourself to hear this in your own mind's voice as I say it again. I am infinitely unfolding in more magnificent ways every day. And so as we deepen into this understanding, letting that infinite magnificence be at the core of every breath. Easefully and effortlessly, here and now, allowing an acknowledgement and a recognition that breath is happening. The easeful flow without strain or struggle. Take a moment to simply focus on the breath. There's nothing you need to do to make it happen. It is happening. The infinite magnificence that is you is reflected in this breath, and it flows forth easefully, effortlessly, and gracefully in the here and now. There is only this good. There is only this flow. There is only light. There is only life. There is only peace. There is only love. And this is who and what we are right here, right now, and always. as we continue, let us continue in this understanding that there is only love, fully expressed here and now. We'll figure out that cue. Can you bring up this microphone? I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let Spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and true and free, as I continue walking in this mystery. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am grateful every moment, every day. And so it is. Thank you, Christy. Sometimes you just need to take the moment. I love that song. I love that song. If you would please provide for me a number between 25 and 423. 412? 412? Almost there. There we go. 1, 2, 3, or 4? 3. Oh, you're going to love this. So just so you're aware, Christy and I have had a lot of discussion. Do you mind if I talk about this? We've had a lot of discussion around the word God and the challenge that many people face with that particular word coming into this philosophy because of what they bring to it from their previous life and this idea of what it represents. You know, sometimes it's hard to let go of those things, and we teach a very specific understanding of God within this philosophy, which is that it is the creative energy. That's all it's just energy. It's just energy, and it is constantly churning forth and creating, and everything that exists is the manifestation, the manifest body of this infinite creative energy. And everything that exists is this energy in form, and in fact, that's what quantum theory is proposing now, that as you strip everything back and back and back and back, that all matter is just energy. And, you know, we know this, and this is what we teach. So when I use the word God, and when Ernest Holmes uses the word God, that's what we're talking about. Now then there's going to be this other challenging part because we talk about this divine creative energy as being impersonal and that there is no being, that we are all the beingness of this energy. And then he does something like this. He writes this: the will of God as if God has will. And yet we teach that there is a will that is divine and is coursing through all creation because it is creation. So if we're talking about this idea that this creative energy on any sense has will, its only will is to create. That's it. That's it. And so he writes this: the will of God is always toward that which expresses life and happiness. To suppose that the will of God could be in opposition to the advancement of our lives would be to think of spirit as being self-destructive. Spirit, being all there is, being infinite, it cannot destroy itself. Just like energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply changes. It can be changed. Matter can be neither created nor destroyed. It simply changes. And so, we live these lives in this physical manifestation of a body. What happens to the body when our consciousness decides that it's done with this particular form? The consciousness continues as an energetic idea. The consciousness continues to unfold and unfold and unfold. But the body, being no longer useful to that particular expression of consciousness, simply allows itself to go back to, they say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, right? It really is kind of like that. The matter is simply going to transform itself into whatever it needs to be next. Some people would look at that and would hear this and say, wow, he's getting really morbid today. But it's the truth. It's the infinite cycle of life. That's what it's all about. Life never ends. Life is infinite. Our perception of it being finite is because we align ourselves with the limitations that we experience on this plane of action. But that's not the truth. At least that's not the truth that I understand. That's not the truth that I have taken into my own heart. That is not the truth that I teach. I teach a truth that says there is no beginning, there is no end. The individualization that is each and every one of us is unceasingly unfolding and consistently becoming that which it is. And we're in a constant journey of unfoldment. We are in a constant journey of becoming. That's the theme for the month, is becoming. And so I find great joy in understanding that the will of the divine, the divine will is exactly that. It is that which expresses life and happiness. It cannot be anything else. It cannot be anything else. Oh, that's a good feeling. It's like, it's better than some other philosophies that would suggest that, our purpose here is suffering, right? And I don't choose to suffer. Well, I do choose to suffer if I'm suffering. See how that works? But I may be doing it below the level of awareness, which is usually what is happening. What's happening. Because I've had some suffering in my life. I choose not to suffer anymore. But I have to do the specific work to take me into this place, mentally first and foremost, of eliminating suffering. Because all suffering is a mental construct. All of it. 100% of our suffering is a mental construct, because suffering is simply the relationship to the idea of something outside the self that we've taken on to mean something. And when we align ourselves with that which is outside ourself, it's the only time that we can ever find our way into a consciousness of suffering. If we draw ourselves back with the understanding that the divine will, the will of God, which is us, the will of God is life and happiness. When we allow ourselves to let that be at the forefront of all of our thinking, then we will move forward from that point of view. But it has to be the embodiment of that. You ever hear people say that happiness is a choice? Would you be surprised to hear me say that I don't teach that? I do not teach that happiness is a choice. I teach that happiness is our natural state of being. And anything unlike it, that's the choice. Unhappiness is a choice, either at the level of awareness or below the level of awareness. But if we are allowing ourselves to be in alignment with God's will, just going to keep, nudging a little bit, if we keep aligning ourselves with God's will, which is life and happiness, then we can only experience happiness irrespective of the circumstances because we are not aligning ourselves with the things outside of the self. I'm going to actually, I don't usually do this because I like to allow it all to unfold from the random reading, but there actually is a parable that I'm going to utilize at the 10:30 celebration, and I want to read it because it actually works very much in alignment with what I'm talking about. Once a fisherman was sitting near a seashore under the shadow of a tree. A rich businessman passing by approached him and inquired as to why he was sitting under the tree and not working. To this, the fisherman replied that he had caught enough fish for the day. Hearing this, the rich man got angry and said, "Why don't you catch more fish instead of sitting in a shadow, wasting your time?" The fisherman asked, "What would I do by catching more fish?" The businessman said, "You could catch more fish, sell them and earn more money, and buy a bigger boat." The fisherman said, "What would I do then?" The businessman, "You could go fishing the deep waters and catch even more fish and earn even more money." The fisherman said, "What would I do then?" "You could buy many boats and employ many people to work for you and earn even more money." "What would I do then?" "You could become a rich businessman like me." "What would I do then?" "Well, you could enjoy your life peacefully." To which the fisherman replied, "What do you think I'm doing right now?" Spirit has a way of providing exactly the right message at the right time for exactly what needs to be said. I've used that particular parable in the past in other talks I've given, and it just speaks to me to remind me that we are always at choice as to how we experience our lives, and it's only ever happening right now. Do you choose to live your life with God's will at the core of it, a life of happiness and joy and peace, beauty and power? And if you say yes, and there's a little voice at the back of your head that says, "But there are all these other things that are going on in life," right? That monkey mind, that monkey mind can be dangerous. Know that you are in charge of that. You are 100% in charge. 100%. And you can be like the fisherman and make a decision right here, right in this moment, right now, to let your life be lived from the point of view of the will of God. Because if it's God's will, it's your will because you are God. Sometimes I just have moments I'm like, really? This is happening right now? I'm just checking in to see if there's anything more in my heart that wants to be expressed right now. I'm going to go look at this again. And I did read this sentence. To suppose that the will of God could be in opposition to the advancement of our lives would be to think of spirit as being self-destructive. It is always seeking self-expression through us and will never deny us anything. Spirit will never deny us anything. Anything. The only way that we can be denied anything in the world of form, in the world of experience, is because we have on some level made a decision to live in that denial. But don't beat yourself up. Let yourself off the hook if you find that there are things that are being denied in your life. Because I'm here saying, yes, I am here saying it's your responsibility to address those things, but I'm not saying you are to blame for those things. Given what you know now, how will you proceed? Will you proceed in a world of denials, the world of I can'ts, or are you going to proceed in a world of I can and I will? Because that is your prerogative. I will. When we talk about the will of God, we might as well just be saying, I will. I will. I will live the life that I am meant to live based on who I choose to be, how I choose to express, and the consciousness from which that all springs forth. And that, I think, is the message of the day. And so it is. And so let's take that idea, that consciousness, that awareness into the silence. This is one of my favorite songs. A magnificent reminder to me of the good that I find when I quiet my mind. Allow ourselves to quiet the mind and reflect on whatever it is that has touched our heart this morning.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release. As my heart opens up to the voice, I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that could ever be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release. As my heart opens up to the voice, I awake to these precious moments when I hear all that could ever be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. Oh, I find God. I find myself.
That song makes me think of my early days in this movement, because the center that I went to, the first kind of 5 years of its existence, I came in about a year and a half into its existence. That was the song that they ended that was their benediction song for years. They never changed their music like we do once a month. And so it's really, that song is a part of my soul now. Oh, I'm going to invite you to take out whatever it is that you are offering the center today in terms of a contribution, a gift, a tithe, an investment. However you choose to understand it, however you choose to express it, let yourself recognize and know that it is the energy of love in form. It is the energy of God in form. It is energy in form, and it is useful to the degree that we allow it to be useful, and that is to keep it in circulation. So as you put your money in the basket, bless it with that consciousness in mind, that it is rooted in and expressing from love, and let us be grateful for that. Holding that, let's allow ourselves to infuse it with this energy as we read the divine givingness statement together. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that spirit is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And as the basket is passed around, we're going to take on a new song this month.
Celebrate my abundance today. By giving this gift, I show my faith. As I open my heart, my world becomes a better place. I release all fear as I share gratefully. This love that I give always gives back to me. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself.
We'll work out that ending. Yes. All right, let's allow ourselves to just take a blessing moment and know that what has been collected here in this basket is a gift and a blessing to the entire world, for it is rooted in the vision of creating a world that works for everyone. And so I welcome it through this time in this place and in this experience, knowing that these funds are utilized by Tucson New Thought with this vision in mind and for the highest and best. These funds are used in integrity and magnificent, perfect decisions for their use are made by the leadership of this organization that are all rooted in this notion. And so I simply allow and I welcome the good. I live with this, in this, and know this. And with gratitude, I simply let it be as I release, let go, trust, know, let go, let fly, and know it to be so. As together we say, and so it is. Lights. Apple TV. And Darwin.
Good morning, everyone. Here are your Tucson New Thought announcements for Sunday, March 1st, 2020. March 4th with us this coming Wednesday, March 4th, at 6 o'clock p.m. for our midweek spiritual practice. Kathy Brandon will guide us on a March 4th labyrinth walk with special live music to accompany the practice. Save the date for March 28th and join Dr. Dream as he brings his Tour of Life to Unity of Tucson. This is a fun and unique 3-hour healing bowl event. 111 Tibetan singing bowls coupled with essential oils and raw cacao. Learn about the chakras and how to balance them and master the use of affirmations. There is no other event like it. Keep an eye on the information table and your email to get notice for advance tickets. Not on our email list? Sign up today by filling out a form on the information table and receive 5 pre-recorded affirmative prayers from Reverend Jonathan. These prayers are designed to support you in the primary areas of your life. Also, if you find you need spiritual support, fill out a prayer request form and place it in the Yes box on the information table. The moment you make the commitment to an uplifted understanding and request prayer, the healing begins. Are you willing to be of service on Sundays? To sign up to be of service as a Sunday volunteer, please speak to a member of our Leadership Council or simply sign up online at TucsonNewThought.org. You can sign up by clicking on the Volunteer Schedule item in the top menu. For more information on everything that is happening at Tucson New Thought, check out our website at TucsonNewThought.org and like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Just search for Tucson New Thought on these various platforms. Thank you for being here and sharing your magnificence with us.
Thank you, Darwin. I know, it's such a shock, right? I wish, so the thing that we were not able to utilize right away was to get us a dimmer so that it could do nice fades. And I thought, well, we need to get a dimmer, but now we don't need a dimmer because it's going to be a different story in a month. And one thing if you saw the email that went out this week, I have orally accepted the offer to become the next spiritual director, the senior minister at Unity of Tucson. And so there's not really much more to tell at this point, but I was wondering if we have a minute. If you have a question about what that means, I am willing to answer a question. And you're welcome to talk to me about it afterwards as well. Yeah?
Are you going to be doing, I know they do one service now, are you going to do one or try to do?
So we're in negotiation around what that will look like. The question, if anybody's online, is whether we're going to have just one service or if we're going to do 1 or 2 services, because we are doing 2 services here. In the discussion around what this will look like, because part of their consideration originally was that I'm not a Unity minister, and Unity is rooted more in utilizing Scripture, Christian Scripture, as a basis for their messaging. And they were concerned that I would not be able to do that. And I said, well, in religious science, we are taught and trained to do that, but most of our communities are not looking for that, so we tend not to do that in our services. And so this is all leading up to the answer to your question, which is to say, if you have a community that is wanting that, that can be provided. And I'm bringing a community where the majority of them are clear that is not necessarily what they want. So what I proposed to them, and we're still in negotiations around this, is I said, listen, I'm already doing 2 celebrations. I'm doing 2 services. What if the 9 o'clock was more scripture-based, more of a traditional Unity service, and then the 10:30 is much more like what we do at 10:30. And so that is the negotiation that we're having right now. And I think that that's how I would like to proceed, because I love doing 2 services, actually. People say, don't you get tired? And I say, no, it actually revs me up. So, yeah. Any other quick questions? Yeah.
I noticed in Unity's email that they're forming a choir for Easter. Is that something you're going to be able to incorporate, or have you talked to them about that?
Well, I haven't talked to them about that yet, but it will be if negotiations work out the way we think they're going to. My first day will be April 1st, and Easter is April 12th. So I will be leading that service, and we will work out whatever we need to work out for all of that. Yeah. It is my desire ultimately to be able to, uplift even more so than we have been able to do here with the resources that we have. And let me tell you, we have a magnificent resource here. And I would like to encourage more in the music world, because for me, music is how I really tapped into this philosophy, much more so than just, going to Sunday and listening to a minister speak. Music is what really touched my soul. So, yeah. So yes, the choir will be part of that, obviously. It's going to happen. Whether can you imagine me walking in there saying, no choir. Michael?
Is Ackerman going to be part of
Yeah. That's another thing that is still under negotiation is how we integrate the two music programs together. Linda is under contract with Unity, so you know, and that we're honoring that. We're honoring that people have been long time. I mean, we don't have Christy under contract, but we have an agreement, and so I'm looking to encourage the way that we integrate the two music programs so that we're all able to make it all work, right? Yes. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm going to do that at the 10:30 as well, take a few questions, just because I imagine there are going to be people who want to know what's going on. Yeah, and you know, as I send out emails, I don't necessarily address all the questions. I want to say thank you to Aidan, providing our technical support today and ensuring that we get out to the internet in a magnificent way through our webcast. I want to say thank you to Marvis, who was our greeter today. I want to say thank you to Logan for lighting the candles today and being part of the experience. And I really would love to, of course, acknowledge and say thank you to Christy for being that musical magnificence that you bring every single week. Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to you for being here, being present, and letting your light shine. So as we end this gathering, we're going to do so in this, remembering who we are.
I remember who I am. I remember who you are, and who we are is pure spirit. I remember who I am. I remember who you are, and who we are is pure spirit. We are life, we are love, we are light. We are joy, we are peace, we are wisdom, and beautiful harmony. We are pure spirit. I remember who I am. I remember who you are, and who we are is pure spirit. And so it is. Make it a magnificent week, everyone.